Hello, welcome to On Purpose Astrology. I'm Mandy Lockley, and this video discusses life purpose for the Sun in Leo and the Sun in Virgo. But before we look specifically at these two signs, let's first discuss some general ideas for the Sun in the birth chart. Now, our Sun says something about our identity, our essence, actually our purpose in itself, and it makes it part of our unique individuality. Now, the birth chart is a complex thing. You have the sun in a sign, you also have the moon and all the other planets and the rising sign and the mid-heaven, etc. And all these things work together. But our sun in particular represents our journey through life. And not just our journey through life, but all the challenges and all the wins and losses that we experience along the way. It can be likened to the hero's journey as described by the mythologist Joseph Campbell. He talked about the hero's journey and following your bliss. And when you are following your sun, you are following and developing the characteristics inherent in your sun sign, then you are living your bliss, you are living your hero's journey. Now, most of us came to astrology through the sun sign or the star sign columns, the horoscope columns in the newspapers, magazines, and online. And it's easy to think that our sun sign gives us a set of qualities of who we are, what our personality is, inborn, straight from the beginning. But actually, the sun in our birth chart really represents the qualities that we can develop and finesse. And once we develop the qualities of our sun sign, I'm talking here once we develop, because this is about living purposefully and meaningfully, once we develop the best qualities of our sun sign and the best that we can, then we are really living an on purpose, a purposeful and meaningful life. We are following our heart when we follow our sun. Following our bliss, our heart, our hero's journey. It's very important, the sun in our birth chart. Our heart, who we are at heart, or who we can be, the potential of who we can be at heart. Now, all the planets do have correspondences with parts of the body, and the sun is the heart. But it's metaphorically and emotionally the heart as well. Who we are at heart. This is so important to our life purpose. The heart is the center. It's our center. So who we are at the center of ourselves. When you think about the solar system, the sun is at the center. We are our own little solar system with the sun at our center, and everything revolves around that. So who are we at heart? Well, once you figure that out, then you are living a lot more purposely, and you can live meaningfully in a lot of ways. You know, once you follow your heart, it gives you a direction in life. I think that's crucial for the sun. It gives you a direction to follow. Now, the sun is also vitality. It's our energy, it's our vitality. Again, the metaphor of the sun being at the center of our solar system. We wouldn't exist, we wouldn't have life and warmth if it wasn't for the sun at the center. So without that light and warmth inside you, so what lights you up? That's a good question to ask yourself if you want to live more meaningfully, if you want to embrace the best of your sun sign. What lights you up? When you find something and you can think of something that lights you up, then you are in your sun, undoubtedly. Conversely, what drains you? What puts your lights out? That means you're not following your sun, or it means there's more work to do. The sun can also represent authority figures of any kind. Traditionally, it's father figures, but not necessarily. We have authority figures of all genders or no genders, for example. But how do we respond in our lives to authority? Because the sun's journey is all about coming into our own authority. Saturn is about that too, but the sun, really at heart, who are we? How is our own natural authority expressed? And another question you can ask yourself when you think about authority in your life. Are you following authority? Are you living the life that your father, mother, boss, peers, or anyone in authority to you has laid out for you, or has told you that this is your lane and you must stick into it? Because the sun needs to, as I say, free itself from authority that takes you off track. I mean, this is another way that astrology can really help. When you look more deeply into astrology and you look at transits, which are, the planets that are going round us now, and they make aspects, they make connections with the planets in our birth chart, and they can kind of tell you, oh, where am I off track? Where could I get on track, and how can I get on track? So when you have transits, when you have measurements from the sky to your sun, they can be very important times in your life when you can really start to see where you are in terms of following your purpose, in terms of living your authentic life and being yourself and being your own authority. So, what brings you fulfillment? What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel full of vitality and energy? So we can look at the sun in our charts to help us with this. As I've alluded to, the sun shows us the qualities we have come in to this incarnation to develop in a very purposeful way. It's what we are aspiring to be. It's what's innate in us, but it needs to come out. In essence, the energy of our sun can help us to accomplish our goals. And having goals is important for the sun. That's another key meaning for the sun. It's the goals. Where are we going? It's all about where we're going with the sun, not kind of who we are and we just like this and that's it. We can't help ourselves. There's always more goals. There's always more development. And the sun really pushes us in that direction if we let it. And this is the key to living a more meaningful and purposeful life, to embrace some of the qualities, some of the more positive qualities of our sun. We're still living our sun if we embrace and live out some of the negative qualities. But what would you prefer? And what's going to be more meaningful? What's going to be more of a growth for you? Well, certainly it's going to be trying to be the best that you can be. So let's have a look at Leo now. Leo is actually ruled by the sun. Sun in Leo is very comfortable in, the sun is very comfortable in Leo traditionally, which explains why Leo loves to shine, because the sun loves to shine. We might have heard that Leo loves the spotlight. Leo is a performer. All life's a stage. Leo is majestic. It has this, idea of, that it's regal. Born, it's entitled. But don't forget the sun goes down. And it's interesting that every Leo that I've known has always needed time to themselves. They are at the center of things when they're with people, when they're in the world, when they're doing things, whether it's their job, whether it's socially, they want to be the center of attention. And they always need other place to go to that's quieter, which is really interesting, isn't it? Because that idea of the sun shines and we look for the sun and we're like, oh my goodness, the sun's shining. We do have a little bit of sun here today in London after many, many days of rain, and we've had some pretty awful weather, lots of flooding in other parts of the country. We haven't seen much of the sun, so we see the sun, it cheers us up. And when an on purpose Leo walks in the room, that person can cheer you up and you're like, oh, light up the room. But Leo also needs time to be quiet, to be off stage, which I found. So that's something to think about if you are a sun in Leo and you kind of think, I don't really, I'm not really a typical Leo because I do like time to myself. Well, that's natural and normal for Leo, but you will shine, especially when you start to get more into your purpose. You will shine quite naturally, and you might be doing it without even realizing. Like all the sun signs, it's a sign, as I said, for the hero's journey. For Leo might have to go through a series of wins, losses, challenges, and threats. I mean, we all do through all the sun signs. But what Leo is looking to gain is insight, strength, and purpose. And this is the hero's journey. The idea of the hero's journey is to return home fulfilled. In the myths, the hero goes through all these challenges, overcomes, and then comes home to a hero's welcome. That's bliss, the sun in Leo. But when we talk about really coming home fulfilled, it's not about walking into a village like in a myth or a city in the myth and everyone shouts and cheers and you're the hero. It's about coming home to yourself, going through the challenges in life. And often for the sun in Leo, there's challenges around authority. I've already talked about, how are you with authority? It's part of the whole sun complex, whatever your sign is. But Leo in particular do tend to be in a situation, or they can be in situations when they're younger, where they have to come into their own authority to get out of the shadows of the authority of someone else, whether that's a father figure or another figure or another sort of authoritarian figure. So it's about coming into your own light. So that's the metaphor about coming home to yourself. And isn't coming home to yourself what the hero's journey, what living an on purpose, a purposeful, fulfilled life is all about as well? So living authentically through the experience of life, learning to live authentically. Now, Leo likes nothing more than be self-important. Self-importance is important for Leo. Okay. It's a proud sign. You might have heard Leo being called proud, the pride of lions, the proud lion, which is the animal that Leo is named after. Easily humiliated. Leo doesn't like to lose their dignity. I mean, who does? But for Leo, it runs particularly deep. But a fulfilled, on-purpose Leo is always loyal, enthusiastic, warm, and generous. So these are some qualities to develop, to aim for. If you have the sun in Leo, they'll come quite naturally to you. But it's about setting the goals and the intentions to go there. Loyalty, enthusiasm for life, warmth, and generosity. An on-purpose Leo is likely to be described as all heart. Sun rules the heart and Leo rules the heart as well. So you've got that all heart. When a Leo sun is centered in their heart, naturally, those beautiful qualities I've just described come through. Now, a large part, a huge part actually, of life purpose for Leo is self-expression. We're talking about creativity here, but we're not just specifically talking about the creativity as we think about it, being able to paint, draw, dance, etc. We're talking about any kind of self-expression. Because Leos are born to express and to stand in the spotlight and to show off. A Leo is a show off, but you can be a show off in a really positive way. Born to express their talents and their personality. But an on purpose Leo will understand that it's what they do, how they express themselves creatively, how they put themselves out, that self-expression, what they do is the key to getting into the heart of Leo. Not just, do you know who I am? That regal majesty of Leo that can sometimes come across as a little bit entitled. So they need to know that their talents and creativity are appreciated, but they need to put the work in and put that talent and creativity out there in the work. And it's almost as if the journey for Leo is that their work or what they put out there, how they express themselves, become more important than the person. It may be actually the personality itself that is the self-expression. This is why Leo is often associated with performance and being on the stage, literally being on the stage. You're performing a role, you're being perhaps someone else and doing it beautifully when you're expressing your sun in Leo to its greatest. I've known very shy lions, and there are very shy lions. Put them on a stage and they will blow everyone's socks off. As I said, the sun sometimes goes down, right? The sun isn't out all the time. It needs time to itself. And that shy Leo needs more time to itself than the more perhaps extrovert. Leo, and the birth chart will tell you, where a Leo might be more reserved. Even the shyest of Leos do need to shine, and I've seen the shyest of Leos shine in beautiful ways when they've been able to put themselves out there and be at the center of things. So for Sun in Leo, simply expecting praise and validation without substance won't make the lion happy in the long run. Put on a show of majesty, put on a show of superiority with nothing to back it up. You might still attract the fame and the followers that you feel that you deserve if you're a Leo, but you'll soon realize that the opinions of others can be fickle and that popularity can wane. And there's nothing sadder than a sad Leo. But these kind of setbacks are part of the learning process for Leo. We talked again about that, talking again about that substance behind the performance. These setbacks can be the catalyst for finding the deeper purpose, for creating a vision for what Leo wants to achieve, for how that self-expression comes out. And visions, of course, require goals. So there'll be an overall vision, whatever, a lot of Sun in Leos will have, if you ask them, a grand vision, but they need to learn to set goals and work towards that vision. It's not going to come instant. There's no such thing as overnight success, overnight fame, overnight, wealth and all that kind of thing. There's a lot of work that goes in there. When we talk about Leo being lazy, the lazy lion, I don't think Leo is necessarily lazy. It just needs to build that vitality, build that enthusiasm to get going sometimes, because after all, it's a fixed sign. And of all the kind of the modalities, the fixed signs tend to take longer to get going than the mutables or the cardinals, for example. But once they get going, they really are on a roll and they can't stop. So it's important for Sun in Leo, once they get going on the track, is to make sure they stay on track, make sure they're on the right track in the first place. I've already talked about not following authority figures by living the life someone else wants you to live, but living your own life and living it creatively in every sense of the word, living your own authority. And that's how Leo builds its confidence and comes into that majesty, comes into that regality, that regalness that's inherent in the Sun in Leo. And, most Leos I've ever known have that inherent, even if they don't express it. So there might have been a dominant father figure or authority figure of any gender that part of the hero's journey for Sun in Leo is to come out from under the shadows of these other authority figures, to sort of shine in their own light rather than to stand in the shadows. Now, there's something beautifully childlike about Leo. Leo needs to play. We talked about expression, self-expression and creative expression. Play comes into that. Even when all grown up, Leo should play, whatever play means to Leo. There's much joy in play for Leo if they let themselves go there. That expression and enthusiasm can come out in really playful ways. Leo can really show the rest of us the way in terms of having fun and leading by example. There's a leadership quality in Leo. Leos learn often to be good at delegating. That's another thing that Leo can learn, to be a good delegator of the tasks Leo doesn't want to do. Leo as a leader needs to inspire the people who they're leading and to be able to delegate in a fair way and to keep people on board. Leo doesn't really particularly want to do the grunt work, to be honest. They want to do, they want to do the fun stuff. They want to do the cool stuff. They want to do the creative stuff. So then it's important for Leo, if they're in a position of authority, to have people who can do the kind of things, who have the talent and have the who it's purposeful to do sort of the more detailed stuff. So as a Leo, bear in mind you will be noticed, and it's up to you to decide what you will be noticed for. An on-purpose Leo will be noticed for its magnanimity, its big heart, its confidence. That confidence, remember, has been well earned through that hero's journey and the challenges that have been overcome. An on-purpose Leo has dignity inherent and has integrity. An on-purpose Leo that's serving the world will ignite confidence in others and will let others know by example that anything is possible if you go into it wholeheartedly with enthusiasm and with self-faith and self-confidence. Now, Virgo. Virgo is very different. Virgo is an earth sign. It's a mutable earth sign and it follows Leo in the zodiac. And it's a very different sign. Life purpose for the sun in Virgo has a lot to do with usefulness, of being useful. As I said, it's an earth sign, practical and pragmatic. It wants to get things done. At best, Virgo is not interested in details that aren't important to the task at hand, but is incredibly interested in the details and the information needed to fulfill the tasks that they need to do on a greater level to fulfill their destiny. When this is coupled with fine-tuned skills of any kind of skill, then Virgo is heading towards fulfilling its promise, to fulfilling its purpose. Now, Virgo can get bogged down in too many details, but as we'll see, one of the qualities that Sun in Virgo needs to work on is being able to prioritize. I've known a lot of Virgos who are brilliant at prioritizing and others that aren't as so much. But it's certainly part of the life path to learn how to prioritize so you don't get too overwhelmed by too much information, too many details. Virgo is no, well, you talked about Leo could be a bit of a show off or whatever and kind of look at me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Virgo's known for being humble and modest. They're not really particularly wanting the attention. I mean, everyone wants appreciation, and Sun in Virgo wants the appreciation for the work that they do. Doesn't necessarily want or need to be in the spotlight. Both Leo and Virgo are creative signs, but while Leo might throw together something shiny and beautiful and overlook the flaws, whatever Virgo creates is done with precision. It's done skillfully and with a mind for constant improvement. Sun in Virgo, when it's known to be humble and modest and a perfectionist, really, if you turn that around in a positive way for it to be more purposeful, it's about room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but still accept the beauty and the perfection in what you have done if you're Sun in Virgo. Learn to love what you've done and what you've achieved and what you've made and what you've created in any area of life. And then apply that growth mentality, that self-improvement is one of the keys, really. That growth mentality is key to living a purposeful life, to fulfilling your life purpose without thinking if you think there's no room for improvement and I'm fine just as I am, then you're not going to grow. And purposeful lives are all about growth. But Sun in Virgo needs to realize, I think, often that just because there's room for improvement doesn't mean that what you are currently doing or where you're currently at isn't good enough. Of course it is. You are where you are and you are probably where you're meant to be if you're on track. So any task at hand, Virgo brings capable hands. Virgo brings capability. And this, we're not just talking about work, we're talking about relationships as well. Ask a Virgo friend. I spoke to a Virgo friend recently and hadn't chatted for a while. What have you been up to lately? And they said that amongst other things, because they had a lot going on, very sun in Virgo, lots of things that they were working on. They were working on their relationship, not because there are any problems in the relationship, but because sun in Virgo, as I've just said, it's about wanting things to always to be better, wanting to be the best it can be, wanting it to be perfect. And again, it's about, trying to let go of perfection, because really there's no such thing as perfection. Or there is, in our own mind, we might think something is perfect, but even if something is perfect for an instant, it doesn't stay perfect forever. So an on-purpose Virgo strives for the best outcome always, but doesn't get bogged down in the idea of perfectionism that Virgo is, of course, famous for. Virgo, an on-purpose Virgo, understands that sometimes things will go wrong in life. And it's also important that to avoid other pitfalls of Virgo, Virgo mustn't become over controlling. An unhappy Virgo or an off track Virgo can become very controlling because they want things to go in a certain way and they want things to be perfect. Now, living a purposeful life, as I've already said for Sun in Leo, and this goes for all the sun signs, involves setting goals. And it's important when setting goals for Virgo to learn to prioritize. I've already mentioned how prioritizing is important for Virgo. Otherwise, there's overwhelm and there's too much going on. Virgo is helpful and it likes to be useful. So Virgo can take on that many tasks, in the workplace or with friends or with family, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's overwhelming. It's too much. Prioritization is great for Virgo to work on, which comes down, I guess, to setting boundaries, doesn't it? Sometimes you have to say no and prioritize. But taking on too much, as I say, can lead you off track as a Virgo and lead to overwhelm and wasting precious time. And the earth signs don't like to waste time. Certainly not the sun in Virgo doesn't want to waste time. They want to make the most of all the time that they've got to get things done. The sun in Virgo likes to look after themselves and on track, on purpose, living at best Virgo knows how important it is to look after the body, to look after the mind, to exercise, to get good sleep, to eat well, to look after the health in general, both the mental health. It's a Mercury ruled sign. Mercury's all about mindset, and earth signs, it's about the body. So mental and physical health is very important to Virgo. So exercise routines, for example, you'll see many Virgos have an exercise routine, or they have special diets to keep them healthy, because Virgo can be quite sensitive to some food. So, for example, you might see Virgo saying, "Well, I can't eat this and I don't eat this," because they want to be healthy. They're not being picky necessarily. They just need to be healthy, and they know what's good for their body and what isn't good for their body. But again, with the sun in Virgo, it's important that that routine, that healthy routine, is important for Virgo. But it's important that it doesn't become a regime, going back to control again, that controlling regime that controls your life. It's a mutable sign, as I said, and the mutable signs to live a fulfilling life need to have some flexibility, allow for some flexibility in life. Another thing with the sun in Virgo, I've talked about mind and body. Sometimes Virgo will forget the spiritual side of things. I'm not saying religion, and a lot of Virgos say they're not religious, but there is a spiritual side of life as well that Virgo perhaps could embrace as well a little bit. And that will help them with that balance that they're looking for in their life. So a Virgo is off purpose when they let go of routines. We talked about having too strict a routine that it makes for a regime. On the other hand, a Virgo is off purpose when they let go of all their routines, you know, and things get chaotic and they lose all order. Virgo is noted for being tidy, but they're not necessarily that tidy. Cleanliness and hygiene is important to Virgo, but not necessarily tidiness. Sometimes Virgo will have everything out in a pile because they want to know where everything is. They want to see things physically. That's another side after all. So tidiness is I was speaking to a Virgo person very recently, and they said, "Oh yeah, there's clutter and untidiness everywhere," and then they'll wake up one day and go, "Oh," and they'll do a massive purge and tidy everything up, and then it'll, yeah, that's kind of a Virgo thing as well. So prioritizing, I've talked well. I can't say that strongly enough. Prioritizing is very important for Virgos. You know, the idea of letting some things go. We just talked about some of the ways in which Virgo let things go. Like, oh, just, things don't have to be tidy all the time. As long as I know where everything is. Virgo likes to sort and put things in order. It might look a mess to someone else, but if you ask a Virgo, they'll know exactly where things are. So there is a kindness to Virgo. So small acts of kindness. That's a lovely way and a simple way and an easy way for Virgo to live more purposefully, to fulfill some of their life purpose, to be kind, not to be a doormat and let other people walk all over them because you've got that humbleness of Virgo, but to be kind and compassionate because Virgo really wants to help. And as I said, it's those small things. Virgo knows that it's those small things that really do make a huge difference to people. I walk down the street, and if someone pays me a compliment, it makes my day. It takes like 2 seconds for someone to say, "Oh, your hair looks nice," or "Where did you get that dress from?" Blah, blah, blah. You know, just a stranger or a friend paying you a compliment goes a long way, and it can really change people's lives. I mean, that sounds silly, but just paying someone a compliment can really just change someone's life. You don't know where someone's head at. This is what Virgo is great for. It's not the grand gestures. That's not a thing for Virgo, although there might be other chart factors if you have Sun in Virgo that suggest this. It's those small things that make a huge difference. Now, another thing for Virgo is Virgo must learn to moderate their inner critic. Now, having an inner critic, that voice in your head that's, you know, criticizing you, thinking about, you know, I think we all do it at times. You know, you talk to yourself in a way that you'd never talk to your friends or family or your colleagues, etc., because they probably wouldn't be your friends and colleagues for very long if you did that negative self-talk. Now, this is a negative side effect of the talent that Virgo has for analysis. Analysis, we talked about details and not needing to not get too stuck in the details and to prioritize. And that stepping back into analysis to look at things is all the better. It's, you know, analysis, so long as it's not over analysis that's negative, so long as it's analysis with perspective, then Virgo has a real talent and gift for that. And that is very part of the life purpose for Virgo, being able to have an objective analysis of whatever is going on in their lives, in the lives of others, at work, in their relationships, in the world in general, for example. And if you can, as Sun in Virgo, take that step back, look at things in perspective, that'll give you all the more perspective to see the beauty of everything around you. There's a certain beauty about Virgo. There really, really is. It's a beautiful maiden. You know, that's the figure that is represented by Virgo, the maiden, the virgin, the beautiful maiden. Take a step back and just look at the beauty of the world. There's probably an affinity with nature for Virgo. All the earth signs are well advised to spend time in nature, to see that beauty and just to feel the beauty of the earth. And to know that if you take the foot off your pedal just to be in nature, or to be in your body, or to do something to pamper or treat yourself, take time off from these small tasks, these repetitive and endless small tasks that Virgo does, that life isn't going to fall apart. And then you come back to the task with renewed perspective and vigor. And again, it's important for all the signs to set goals. For Virgo, set small goals. Small goals go a long way towards fulfilling the vision of Virgo. The vision of Virgo is there to serve and to help. And what better to be a Virgo? What better time to be a Virgo? Because we all need help. But remember, we have to look after ourselves before we can look after someone else. I hope that's interesting and useful, Leo and Virgo. And I will be doing Libra and Scorpio in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.